which said that all the business markets, all the business which you have been working in, they operate in either of these domains. So there are some of the companies which have been operating in the red domain. It means that they are working in a cutthroat competition. There's a bit of price war, a small scale of margin which exists, and there is a competition that in the existing market share, people are just trying to capture that existing part of that pie which has been available. And because it is limited and a lot of players that have been coming in, so the business is not profitable. It's not generating that sort of revenues which it should develop or should generate out of it. So many of the companies, they have been operating in the red domain. It's in the red ocean. It means where there is always, it's a symbolic like a blood, mean that when there is a competition, so survival of the fittest, if you are not fit, you are being outdated out of this game. So in this way, many of the organizations, they are being operating onto that. But in contrary to that, in contrast to it, there is a blue ocean strategy. Blue ocean concept is that rather than you compete in the existing market, which is too tough, which is so intense that unless and until you have to do something of marginal value, which is of course in a business environment, it's not very easy to generate. If you innovate something, if you go with the philosophy of a blue ocean, rather than you focus on the existing customer, you enhance and create the value for your customer. Even you bring the non-customers into your customer, you actually sail through in an uncharted territory. There's no competition in the blue zone. There is no challenges over there, and there is a bigger market which exists over there. And this is the most important aspect in the business environment. They look into that, how they can go into the blue ocean. What is the thing in which they can jump into the blue ocean aspect? This is our scenario which we are going to talk about that how we can create a blue ocean. And the companies, how they can create a blue ocean within themselves. So I have just put a diagram over here. In this diagram, two aspects. In all the companies, whenever they operate in a business environment, they have to do two things. Number one, what they have to do, they have to reduce cost. They have to reduce cost. And then what is the other thing they have to do? They have to increase the value of their product and services. Two things. If they are increasing the value of their services, and if they are reducing the cost, they create a blue zone, a blue ocean, and that blue ocean give them a differentiation. All right. Now, question is, how in an organization we can reduce our cost? Now, this is a question. You might have seen that right now, as we are going through a transformational journey, we have been talking about cost reduction. Why? Because if we are reducing a cost, we are becoming more, what you can say, more attractive for our clients. So how can we reduce the cost? If you have become a part of it, some of the waste which has been, we also use in the lean philosophy. If you understand that lean philosophy, there are different type of waste which have been there. If you can reduce, can get hold of that, can reduce it, you can actually reduce your cost. So what are different type of waste if you have been recall that? So one is called that, for example, there is sometime an unnecessary transportation costs are there. Unnecessary motions are there, that things are being moved from one place to other. Then there is unnecessary inventory which is being built over there. Then there is an overproduction which actually we face in an organization. Then there is an overprocessing of the things which happen. Then there is a waiting time for unnecessary waiting time over here. Then there is a waste of skill and talent. Now, for example, if you look into all of these type of waste, that actually, if we do not control that increase the cost. When it increase the cost, you are not being able to deploy your blue ocean strategy. You are being working in your what you can say, you are working in your red zone. Then what we have to do, we have to increase the value of our services. Now, question is, that is the subject of my discussion, how we can increase value in an organization. And secondly, we are going to look into that. What are the things we can do in our life in which we can enhance our personal value in the organization? How can we enhance our personal value in our personal life? How can we enhance our personal value in the professional context? All right, does it sound sense to you? So we are going to talk about how can we increase that value over here. Now, I ask you to draw this quadrant of 4, and you can have that and you can look into that, but we are going to talk about it, that you have to write it down, divide it into 4, This is called a 4G strategy. 4G strategy. So what is being there in the 4G, what we are going to talk about? In the first quadrant, write it down the word eliminate. Eliminate. In the second quadrant, write down the word reduction. In the third quadrant, write the word raise. And in the fourth quadrant, write the word create. Now, this is called a 4G strategy. 4G, G stand for growth. So we are talking about what are the things which we can do in which we can enhance our organizational business value for the customer. And our question is, we are being relating in the same time, what are the things which we can deploy in our life out of this blue strategy philosophy in which our impact increase in our personal life, in our professional life, and that is the subject of our discussion today. So these are the four aspects in which we can work. So if I ask you, first of all, let's look into the organizational context. In the organizational context, the business can think about it. What are the aspects? What are the activities? What are the processes? What are the other domain in which they can completely delete those processes which has no value for the customer, which has no impact in the product or the service? So they can identify what are the things they can completely eliminate from their processes, which are just the fat in the system, which is like an redundant activities which does not any value. Then they also think about what are the things which are essentially required to be there, although it does not generate a lot of value for the organization, but they have to be available. So how the things we can reduce a bit as compared to what we are been doing right now, as compared to what the industry standards are all about. What are the things we can reduce a little bit onto that? Then the third aspect we can think about, what are the things as compared to the industry standards we can increase or enhance in our processes? What are the things we can enhance further? So for example, if it is some of the quality aspect, if it is some of the service delivery we can do, what are the things we can enhance further into our deliverable? So we can think about that. And last but not the least, what are some of the features which are not being offered in the business market and we actually can create, we can innovate over here? So remember four aspects which are very important: eliminate, reduce, raise, and create. Blue Ocean strategy talk about that. If you identify this is your strategy map, you can identify what are the things I can eliminate, what are the things I can reduce, raise, and create. Now let's take this example and let's look into your professional life, and you identify that aspect and you say, all right, if I have to being as a professional, I have to achieve some of the aspects in my life. What are the things I can deliver? What are the things I can achieve? What are the goals and aims and ambition I'm interested to achieve in my life? Now what you have to do, take this diagram, identify what are the things currently which you are being doing right now which is not contributing anything towards your goals and objectives. So for example, you say, I would like to reduce my weight, I would like to come into the shape, that is one of the goals. You say, I'd like to enhance my qualification, I would like to get a master's degree, etc. Now one of the goals you establish yourself, then identify what are the things which you are currently doing is not contributing at all towards your goal. So if you identify clearly that this does not contribute anything, just sitting idle in front of television for hours and hours, just looking into a social media without any focus on anything, this is actually of no value. So you can identify, all right, this I can eliminate from my life, from my processes, from my activities. Then you can see, all right, there are some of the things which I cannot just eliminate it at all, but I have to reduce a bit. So what are the things you can reduce in your life? For example, if still you have to go for some of the thing, maybe you have to go for some of the outing with the friends, etc. But rather than going on every day, you say, all right, this is fine, I just can go for only a weekend outing. So this give me a lot of time in which I can focus on my goal, I can enhance some of the aspect. Then the third thing is, what are the things which is of highest value, which actually give you a maximum return, but you are not being focused onto it, where you can raise your standard, where you can raise some of the time, you can started doing more onto that. So for example, you say, I'm actually, whenever I interact with my mentors, whenever I look into some of the videos which is actually relevant to my subject or goal, I always get more value. Now, how much time you are spending into that? What are the things you have been doing? And in that instance, you can say, all right, if I spend some more time with my mentors, or for some of the people which are high achievers, they actually can give me a little bit more raise into my processes, my standards can change over here. And last but not the least, you can think about it. What are some of the things, what are some of the ideas, what are some of the processes, what are some of the actions which you have not taken up till now and you've been innovative about it? You can think about it. What are the new things I can create? What are the new activities I can put into my process which actually can give me a results onto that? So what we are going to talk about it, that if you look into that, if you focus on it, if you are focused on it, you are actually being able to raise the value. You can raise the value. I hope you can see that. This is over here. You can raise the value of your services. Now, the value of the services always happen when you are being actually increasing your, for example, everyone has a customer, again coming back from the organizational context, customer benefits. And of course, the cost aspect, which we talk about, that the cost can be in your personal context is your time which you have been spending over there, taking a lot of time. In a minimal time, you like to get the maximum results, and you can also deliver and can fulfill your stakeholders as well. Let's look from that. So the most important aspect is value. So how the values increase when your focus is on the two things, eliminate and reduction. You can do in the reduction over here, reduction of cost, elimination of cost, it is increasing value. Sorry about that. And then we can talk about it that from the customer benefit, raising the standard and innovation, you can actually receive the customer benefit out of it. Now, when we talk about the 4G strategy, one of the things I'm going to, as I mentioned, that this came from a very renowned philosophy, and this has been actually worldwide, has been applicable. Today, what we have learned, we have identified what are the things we can learn out of it and we can apply into our life. So today's theme I have took from this book, which is a blue ocean strategy. And if I look into that cover page, almost 4 million, 3.6 million copies till it's printed. Here's a huge amount. That means that companies are being actually utilizing it. This book is written by Chen and Rennie. I think one of the amazing book I have read so far. This is such an amazing philosophy which talk about that if you apply and deploy that philosophy in our life, they are going to make a lot of difference into ourselves.